Overall, a scary situation for shoppers and mall employees after police responded to a shots fired call tonight. At one point, there were dozens of police cruisers, ambulances, and fire trucks here at Hamilton Place Mall. That shots fired call coming in after 6 o'clock this evening. They emphasized there was never an active shooter here. Instead, what they say happened was a fight in the parking lot. The person responsible for all this ran back inside, apparently. Some witnesses saying that person had a gun, but they're still working to figure out if that was the case.
This afternoon, Dalton High School was a scene of panic and chaos. You had students running down the hall after a very frightening situation. 53-year-old Randall Davidson, a 14-year social studies and history teacher here at Dalton High School, apparently barricaded himself into a room. The principal tried to communicate with him, and that was not going to happen. And the principal heard a gunshot, and that's when students started running everywhere. Of course, during the past couple of weeks, we've had so many threats and scary situations in schools across the United States. As it turned out, he did not shoot himself. He did not shoot any student. He apparently shot that bullet through a window, but certainly it caused a great deal of panic.
5 of those 37 vehicles were brought here to ABC Towing, and as you can see, the extent of this damage it's very extensive. The pileup on 75 northbound caused massive traffic delays during the morning commute. Georgia State Patrol says 15 vehicles collided due to the icy conditions.
911, location of your emergency.
It's the most important question dispatchers ask when you call 911. But if you're calling from a cell phone, they may have a tough time locating you.
Our citizens rely on this service, and yet the industry and our FCC are not stepping up to the plate.
Hamilton County 911 Director John Sturmer says emergency centers across the country are facing the same problem. The system wasn't built for cell phones, and most calls for help no longer come from landlines.
That was a very reliable and maintained database. With cell phones, we moved away from that, and we moved to where we had to have the location of that phone from the carriers.
Oftentimes, dispatchers can verify an address with the caller before they get that information from the cell phone. But what if the caller doesn't know their address? Sturmer says it's a real problem, especially when the call comes from inside a multi-story building like an apartment complex or a mall.
Any call we get from inside of a building using our current technology is slow, and it's very unreliable. A lot of times it doesn't even put us in the same area that call is coming from.
So we put it to the test, using 2 cell phones from 2 different carriers to call 911, standing inside the emergency center on Amnicola Highway.
You can see that your call came in and hit a cell phone tower. And I'm going to do what's called a rebid.
The first call places us just outside on the sidewalk. The next call puts us on a nearby street. Both times it took 10 to 15 seconds to find us. But apps with GPS can locate you with the touch of a button. We ordered an Uber to our exact location. The driver had no trouble tracking us down. A few seconds might not seem like a big deal, but in a life or death situation, those are critical seconds emergency crews aren't coming to help you.
We were ushered into a holding room where the president was standing with some other dignitaries before he made the walk out to the stage just about 5 minutes prior to his stepping out onto the stage here at McKenzie Arena. We got a chance to ask him about a few topics. He addressed things such as how he plans to govern if the Republicans lose the House. And he also talked about some of those late night, early morning tweets. Here's what he had to say.
Mr. President, you just mentioned your big crowd you left in Georgia.
Yeah.
To what do you attribute the numbers? We've got a record here in Tennessee as well.
And they had a record in Georgia. We're having records all over. It's just really hot. People are loving the Republicans. They're loving what we're doing on the border. You saw the numbers come out, the financial, economic numbers on Friday, with 250,000 new jobs for the month of October. And they're just, I mean, we probably have the best economy we've ever had in the history of our country. And, you know, we're doing well.
When you talk to these people that you see in the crowds, are they talking to you more about the economy or more about their concerns for immigration and things like that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think they're talking about everything. They're really happy with the economy. They're happy with jobs. They're really benefiting, and they're happy with the tax cut. They love the regulation cut because their companies, or even if whether they own the company or they work for the company, their companies are doing well. But they're doing incredibly well. I mean, we have the best economy that we've seen, I think, ever. I mean, basically they're saying ever. So when those numbers came out, it was a very good time for them to come out because they came out on Friday, and we have the big election on Tuesday. And I have to say, Marsha Blackburn has been incredible. She's really been a star. She's been all over the state. She loves Tennessee. She loves the people of Tennessee. She'll be a fantastic senator. I hope it works out.
Let's use that to transition into why a visit here. You won Tennessee by a sizable margin. You won Alabama by a greater margin. Georgia you won as well. Is this visit seen to try to convince people to go to the polls? I know when you were in Florida the other day, basically everyone said they had early voted. What's the mission for trips like this?
Well, this was really set up about 4 or 5 weeks ago, because there are a lot of logistics. But regardless, I love the people of Tennessee. I like being here, and we want to make sure she gets in, I guess you could say. She has a nice lead, but you still have to go out. You have to vote. And so I said, let's keep it. Let's just keep it. She's doing really well. She's a great person. The people know her very well here, as you know, and she's doing well. But I said, let's just keep this. It's Tennessee. You've treated me so well, so good. I treated my family to a little bit of a surprise the other day. I was showing them some of the numbers from Tennessee, and this was a state that we did very well.
If the election doesn't go your way, if the Republicans lose control of the House, how will you govern? Will you consider the last 2 years of this first term being a lame duck presidency?
Well, look, I wouldn't have. I certainly want to see it go well. I think we're doing very well. We're certainly doing well in the Senate, but we even have to worry about that because you never know with elections what happens. But I think we're going to do really good in the House. I think we're going to have some good surprises. And if for some reason that doesn't turn out to be true, I'll figure it out. That's what I do. I always figure it out. You have to. You have no choice.
Your presidency could be described as unconventional. You said figure it out. Is that the way you envisioned it when you came down the staircase and decided to run?
Well, I think so, and I think we've done more. Even the enemies give us, the people that are against us, and we have a group, and they give us credit. We've probably done more, probably the word is now definitely, more than any other president in the first 2 years. If you look at the tax cuts, if you look at all that we've done with regulation, the military, the veterans choice, and all of the things that we've done for the military, we're rebuilding our military, $716 billion. And we need it. We have to have it. It was very depleted. It got so depleted and terrible. So if you look at all that we've done, nobody's done more. You look at healthcare things. I'll tell you what, right to try is something that they've been trying to get for many years, where you can use the system if you have an illness, if you're terminally ill, or you can use medicines and things that are coming up in the pipeline. They've been trying to get that for many, many decades. We've done more than anybody's ever done in the first 2 years, and we're really happy about it. We're in great shape as a country.
Some say you've done it with a heavy fist. Some of your late night, early morning tweets caused firestorms on morning shows by the time the rest of us get up. Is that stream of consciousness? Is it a way to get issues into the policies, into the argument before things get rolling?
Well, it really is, and I don't get treated fairly by the media, so it's a way of going around the media because I have no choice. I mean, we go around the media, and we're able to do that. And it's been very, very successful. And I think really without social media, I don't call it tweets, I call it social media because it's a whole broad array. But without social media, I wouldn't be able to get the honest word out because we have not been treated fairly by the media. And that's even been written about. Many people agree with that. And so through social media, I can get the word out. And you're right, it's also a way of putting ideas out so people can start talking about them. But we've done a lot. We really like it, and you see the kind of crowds we have. We have thousands of people outside that can't get in, so that's a good feeling.
One more question for you before we get the wrap here. You've got thousands waiting for you out there. How do you reach the moderates that won't come to a rally, that don't wear the red baseball caps? What is your plan for that? Because the races are so close in so many states.
But I think we've reached the moderates. The moderates want to have border security, and I'll tell you, we've really reached women. They said that for 16 that maybe I wouldn't do well with women, and then we did unbelievably well with women, and we're doing well with women right now because they want security, they want financial security, which we're certainly doing a great job with, but we're also giving great border security, great military security. When you look at what our military does when they go to that border, look at the way they have that secured up already. We have the best military, and we've had to do it over the last 2 years because it was so badly depleted. Women want security, and they get security with me.